Hello, Year Sevens. I hope that you're well. In today's lesson, we will be moving on to a new biology topic. We will be looking at how the roots and leaves of plants have been adapted, that is, what makes them good at doing their job. I hope that you're in a quiet place with all your resources, including your writing pen, your green pen for marking, pencil for drawing, and your book with all your notes from previous lessons so that everything is in one place when they're needed for revision purposes. Our retrieval practice today will require you to draw on prior knowledge from primary school. Please draw and label the different parts of the plant identify. Pause the video and do this now. And for a challenge, can you think of any of their functions? Off you go now. Well done, Year Sevens. You should have identified the petals, which is a modified leaf that surround the reproductive parts of flowers. They're often brightly colored or unusually shaped to attract pollinators, including bees. The stem, which gives support to the plant. The leaves, where photosynthesis takes place, where plants make their own food. We will be looking at that in more detail. And the roots, which anchor the plant to the ground whilst absorbing minerals and water from the soil. So, our success criteria for this lesson is to understand the structure of a plant and the structure of a leaf, to understand the function of root hair cells to a plant if we can, and to recognize that the root systems and leaves have to work together for photosynthesis to take place. Now, this is recalling prior knowledge from back in the academic year when we looked at cells. Please draw this diagram and label the different components. Yeah, what I would like for you to notice is that on the left we have a group of lines, yeah, and this is to help you name the organelles or parts of the cell that are common to both plants and animal cells. And then at the bottom along here we have got a separate group of lines, and these are to label the organelles that can only be found in plants. Please pause the video and do this now. You should have identified the cytoplasm, the nucleus, the mitochondria, and the cell membrane as organelles that are common to both plants and animal cells. Fantastic if you've done that. And then at the bottom, you should have identified the chloroplast, the vacuole, and the cell wall as organelles that can only be found in plant cells. Fantastic job, Year 7. Please correct your work with a green pen. Now, just to recap, I hope you can remember this slide. If you notice, the plant cell, yeah, is more rectangular in shape, and the animal cell is more spherical in shape. Right, Year 7s. So we are now going to look to recall prior knowledge on the functions of the organelles. On the left, you have all the organelles that we've talked about so far, and on the right, we have their possible function. Please pause the video and match these now. Well done, Year 7s. Give yourself a tick for the ones that you got right. So you should have noticed that the cytoplasm is where chemical reactions take place. The nucleus contains DNA and controls the cell. The cell membrane controls what enters and leaves the cell. The cell wall gives the cell structure. The mitochondria is where respiration takes place. The vacuole contains the cell sap, and the chloroplast is where photosynthesis takes place. Please pause the video, correcting your work now. Right, now I would like you to color the boxes of the parts which are found in both plant cells and animal cells. Please pause the video and do this now. You should have colored in cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane, and the mitochondria. Now, we're going to be looking at the role of the leaf. So, what is the role of the leaf? Leaf cells or palisade cells contain chloroplasts, which allow plants to absorb sunlight. Plants use sunlight to make their own food in a process called photosynthesis. Where are cells that contain chloroplasts found and why? You will notice that the cell that contain chloroplasts are found on the top layer of the plant as they need to easily access the sunlight. The chloroplast, which is from the Greek word chloros, which means green, as we can see from the color here. Yeah. And plate, meaning the one who forms, is a type of cell organelle only found in plants, as we discovered earlier. It contains the green pigment chlorophyll that traps the light energy of the sun to convert it to chemical energy of food by the process called photosynthesis. I am hoping that I'm triggering some work on energy store. So, let's have a progress check to see what we've learned so far. Please pause the video and answer these questions now. You should have come to the conclusion that chloroplasts is where photosynthesis happens, that the palisade cells are found in the top layer of the leaf, and that they're mainly found there because that's where more sunlight hits the top of the leaf than anywhere else. Now, we are looking at the internal structure of the plant. Okay, so this is what the internal structure of the leaf looks like. The first layer, which is the epidermis, which is at the top, this is where the cuticle is. This waxy cuticle acts in protecting the leaf from drying out. There is also an epidermis layer at the bottom of the plant, yes, and that's where we have lots of little holes. Yeah, they're found in large numbers on the underbelly of the leaf, and these little holes or pores act as opening. Okay, so a single stomata has two guard cells around it. That's an example of a guard cell there. Okay, and their job is to allow the flow of carbon dioxide into the cell and oxygen and water out of the leaf. Through this process known as diffusion, the top layer consists of elongated cells, and these palisade cells are tightly packed together, as you can see, and they have a regular shape, with they're roughly all the same in shape, and this is where the vast majority of chloroplasts can be found. This is where the main site of photosynthesis is. This next layer here is where the spongy mesophyll layer is. And these cells, although they're uniform in shape, they do not contain as much chloroplasts. These cells are loosely arranged, as you can see. They've got lots of gaps in between, and this is filled with water and oxygen, which allows for gas exchange. So, in summarizing, stomata allow carbon dioxide into the leaf. The carbon dioxide is needed for photosynthesis to take place. Now, why is the stomata found on the underside of the leaf? Please pause and think about that now. That's correct, year 7. It is found on the underside of the leaf in order to protect from water loss, especially on hot days. Like we said earlier, the stomata is where CO2 gases enter and oxygen and water is released through this process that we call diffusion. So when guard cells gain water, they curve outwards, as we can see here. This opens the stoma, allowing gases in and out. And when they're in that position, they're said to be turgid. So at times they might be losing water and they'll close up. So losing water causes the guard cells to come closer together, closing the stoma, and this stops the movement of gases but also prevents water loss. And in this case, we say that the cells are flaccid. In summary, this process that we call diffusion happens at the surface of the leaf. Carbon dioxide and oxygen can diffuse in and out of the cell from high concentration to low concentration. Water can also move out of the leaf through this process of diffusion. And if we were to look under observation, you could see many small pores or stomata scattered among the epidural cells. Each pore is guarded by 2 guard cells, as we can see. Yes, and these regulate the opening and closing of the stomata. Here is your final progress check. Please pause the video and answer these questions now. Hopefully, you would have learnt that the purpose of the stomata is to allow CO2 into the leaf. The kind of cells that surround the stomata are known as guard cells. And plants need carbon dioxide in order for photosynthesis to take place. Fantastic listening and work year 7. Give yourself a pat on the back, and I will see you next time.